Okay, this is Steve, Palmarks here with video number 6 in the series, and this is Yawl, Y.A.W.L, which are 4 very interesting characters that spell a very cool class of yacht where the mizzen, or the smaller of the 2 masts, kind of sticks way out the back, and oftentimes the boom is out there over the water pretty much. It's just a very unusual design, a very cool design. It's different from a ketch where the mizzen, or the smaller of the 2 masts, is located further forward. And in this case, I just made an acronym out of a very cool boat design called a Yawl, and it's Yacht Acquisition Wicked List. So it's the wicked list of yachts that we're going to acquire, in essence. And I'm just going to get rid of this with a la Dave Letterman and read this kind of up close because I haven't got my glasses on right now. I couldn't find them, so the heck with it. Some of these yachts that I've got here, the first one on my list is a Mason 47, which just happens to be a yawl. And then I've got what I call the pH, like that problem that we're having with the oceans right now. The pH is kind of messed up, and making the shells of the living creatures not harden very well, and that pH stands for Pacific Hunter, and that is a water toy hauler, kind of like one of those trailers or motorhomes that has the place for the quads and the motorcycles in the back, and then you can cook and sleep in the front and do your thing in the front. But this is a water toy hauler. It's an old Coast Guard cutter, and you just fill it up with water toys, and now you have the equivalent of a fleet. A fleet of, well, let's call it what we had here in the 1800s in the Puget Sound, a mosquito fleet of water toys around a water toy hauler that is a U.S. Coast Guard cutter. And then we have the B.W. That is essentially a reel in the SIG, or the Special Interest Group, B.W., and that's a Boston whaler, which they're kind of expensive and they're well built and they hold their value, but they're very cool. And the SIG part of it is that Special Interest Group, where you get to talk to the whalers if you own a whaler. So that will translate into other types of SIG vessels, like a Tully or a Grand Banks or a Ranger tug or whatever. Which brings me to Ranger tugs. A Ranger 21, there's one here. It's a kind of an example of the mosquito fleet. You drop a Ranger tug on the water toy hauler. Pretty cool, a tug on a toy hauler. And it just gets dropped in the water, and you can run off with 10 people or so on your little Ranger tug. You can sleep aboard it if you're about 4'5" or something. It's kind of a small little cuddy cabin thing. The GW, but don't forget the trailerables, because those don't cost anything to put in the water and keep there in a slip. The GW is a Grady White, very cool runabout that does things, fishing things, and has a little cuddy cabin. Grady Whites are real cool. And then well, and this just happens to be one Paul and I went and looked at. Steel Hull has the lug rig, which is like a Chinese junk rig, and a very cool cabin and room, lots of room, and sips fuel, barely any fuel, because it's easy to go through the water and not that difficult to maintain because it's metal, and it's got a huge galley and it's inexpensive. It's called a Y.A.W.L. And then the last one I have here is a Mariah, and the Mariah is actually a rename of a vessel that's a big one, over 100-footer, and that's one that kind of shows some muscle of the tribe, that can circumnavigate and does all kinds of crazy things, and you'll hear more about the Mariah in a future video.